Hi everyone, welcome to In the Metal. Thank you once again for joining us to take another look at the behind the scenes of the independent watchmaking industry, the profession, skill, craft, call it as you may. Watchmaking is, there are different ways of approaching it, and the guy that we have on tonight is a young Dutch chap called Machiel Hulsman. And Machiel had a fantastic career providing IT services to the financial sector, to banks and insurance companies. And man, he was doing all right. Most of us would probably say, you know, that's good enough, and enjoy the trappings of a nice, successful career. Not this guy. One day, with a little bit of disaffection with his work, he took a look at his watch on his wrist and he asked himself the question, how hard would it be to make that? Well, he found out, and we are going to have a really good look at that tonight. So I'm thrilled because we were talking about escapements just a couple of weeks ago with Remy Cools, and Dan was saying how, yeah, most people don't make escapements. And next thing, I got a message saying, excuse me, I make my own escapements and the rollers and everything else. So it was a no-brainer. We had to get talking to this man. And to help me go have a look and analyze, and I reckon I am not going to be saying an awful lot after this little section tonight, because I am going to be sitting in wonder listening. So what about that, Dan, huh?
How you doing, Johnny?
Hey, how's it going, my friend?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
All good with you, I hope.
This is excellent. Oh yeah, this is excellent here. Actually, I'm a little bit in the dark, so forgive me. I'll see if I can light my mug up here. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to say Michael, because it's the American way to say his name, but I've been following him for a while, and yeah, it's such an intriguing story. Once again, someone who, you know, you're at your regular and a really good job, right? And you just kind of just go, I want a life change. Maybe I can do this, you know, and really go for it, you know?
Yeah.
And his story, he'll tell you, he's like, he sold his Porsche. He's, you know, just everything, just wipe it clean and went for it. And not many people walking this planet can do that. And,
no, it takes balls to step back from that security net. Really, when you go and do what Machiel has done, is there's no safety net. This is you're on the tightrope, and you know, you're either going to get to the end.
And also, you know, there's people that can maybe, okay, let me buy a base eBOS movement, and I'll build a module on top of it and buy a dial and have a guy make my case, and I got a watch, you know, or you know, wealthy families all the time, somebody wants to just start a watch company and they go to Switzerland with a bunch of money and they can do it. This is not that story. This is like, you know, I got the George Daniels book. I'm making every screw. I'm making the jewels. You know, I'm like you said, he's even, you know, making his own escapement. It's mind blowing.
Nobody knows better than you, Dan, about the trials and tribulations and the challenges and the harsh reality of, you know, working maybe 14, 15, 16, 18 hours, and maybe at the end of the day, a tiny component you can barely see, it bends or it snaps, your fingers pissing blood, and you're going, ah! And it's a silent scream of frustration, and you know. So here, absolutely. What about we will go over to Netherlands and welcome this fantastic guest, Machiel Hulsman. Machiel, welcome, and thanks for joining us on In the Metal. It is a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. It's a real big honor. So thanks a lot.
Hi, Michael. So is it okay if I call you Michael?
It's fine. A lot of people do. So.
Okay, so it's my pleasure. I know we've talked briefly once, a few times through direct messaging, and it's just incredible what you've done and the perseverance of everything you've done in this story. It's incredible. So if you want to just bring some people up to speed, because in addition to what me and Johnny just kind of introduced you, everyone needs to know he's not sitting in the middle of Switzerland where he can go down the corner and buy jewels. He's like me. He's in no man's land.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Yeah, true.
Trying to find all the metal and all the things that we need to produce is impossible. You know.
Yeah, it's hard to find the right materials and how to even know what kind of materials you really need, or what materials would suit better, where to get it, how to handle it, all that kind of stuff.
So wait, I want to back up because I am a metal dude at heart. Like, did you walk into your IT or explain what your job profession was, and like have a really big fight with your boss and he was a prick, and you just said, I freaking had it, man. Freak this Porsche. I don't need that. I'm freaking, I've had this cubicle life one day too long. I mean, was it anything like that? Or was it just an epiphany of, wow, like how is a timepiece made? I need to know how a timepiece is made.
Not even that. No. It's actually it started. I was working at insurance companies and banks. They hired me for their bigger projects to do test and quality management. So setting up the processes and hiring the people, setting up teams and stuff, and then doing the testing for example, online banking and mobile banking, that kind of stuff. So you can't make a mistake, not one. If you go live and it doesn't work or something doesn't work, you're in the newspapers and it's over. So nice projects, but I got hired by some companies, and they sometimes used me to set up everything and then ditch me, and they put their names on my documents and told, for example, the bank, these are my documents, and he's gone. I fired him.
Wow.
So it happened a couple of times, and then the last time it happened, it was not quite the same story, but somebody wanted my job because I became the manager there, and there was a lady in my team, and she wanted my job for 3-4 years already, and then they hired me. So she wasn't happy, and she tried a lot of things to get rid of me, and well, finally she got the job, and I got another project within the bank. But still, it was always the same story. So I was getting tired.
Who needs that in their lives?
Yeah.
So, okay, so you turned your back on this stressful career, but we do say, we often say how difficult it is and what a struggle it is for the watchmaker. You ask one of them, would they change what they do for anything? And the answer is no. This is something that when you discover it, you give it everything, and you give it for the rest of your days. And I noticed that in one of the interviews, Machiel, about that, this is something that you never wanted to retire from. And I know that feeling. So, yeah.
Well, I could relate. I had a past career myself, so this is a really good story for everyone to see that it can be done in different ways.
Yeah.
So then you just sold it all and went for it and ventured off into the land that we all live in on the other dark side.
Dark side.
The dark, lonely side of you and machines.
Yes. Yeah, and it's great. I started in a little shed at the back of our house, 2 by 3 meters. So it wasn't even 6 square meters, and I had a huge shape.
Were you married at this time?
No, not yet.
No girlfriend, nothing.
I had a girlfriend, and
I
had met. She still married me. So.
Okay, that's why I'm asking. I'm like, you come home, hey, hi, honey. Yeah, dinner's ready, honey. Yeah. Oh, I quit my job. I'm gonna make a watch, and I'll be out in the shed.
Yeah.
Oh, the Porsche's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all was part of the deal.
Yeah. Well, it was life changing in that matter. So we had a comfortable life. We could do everything we wanted, and so everything was fine. But yeah, we had to adapt.
Yeah,
a lot.
sure. And here, there's a few of your family have turned up there just to say hello. So I think
Yeah. That's my father.
He's back again there, and Machiel. Hey,
Hello.
and an old friend of yours as well. I think.
Nice.
Well, who's
Yeah,
another
guy.
great guy. And so,
Hello, everybody. All right,
yeah.
so you're out in the shed and with the George Daniels book and some four walls.
Yes, and then I started buying machines, and also new machines, but cheap. And well, you can't buy cheap new machines that work. So I had to find out the hard way that I had to search for better machines. And well, the shed became full, so I couldn't. It cramped. It was too small. So later I moved to an old school building, and there I had 18 square meters. And 2 weeks ago I moved into my new place here. So it's not completely done, but
Congratulations.
yeah, thanks. Still in the same school building. So well, it's 50 meters from my house. So when the kids are in bed, I have the babies on. And, when they scream or cry, then I can run over. But
See people making movements in-house. I keep saying it. We are, a lot of us, independents. It really is real. Like, this is my house behind me here. There is no living room. Who needs a dining room anyway? It's kind of a useless room, right? Where you once a year. Why? So put a milling machine in there, and now it's a room.
Yeah.
Truly in-house. Truly in. So, you know, and you know what? I think a lot of people that are coming to learn about independent watchmakers and really are on Instagram and follow around, they find some of the Japanese people, and they really do see it's in all our houses. And it's our story that matters. It's our struggle that matters, and our journey to get there that matters. And your journey is now 5 years, about 5 years along, just to get to your first movement and a good understanding and a good background, because you took a different route than most, like me, going to traditional schools, and you go into the school of you and a book, and it's a lot harder that way. So if you could explain to us just briefly, you know, how did you get started? Was it the George Daniels book? Obviously, that's really the only Bible out there. Let's be real. And how you went about that, and fill us in a little bit.
well, the first idea was actually when I was looking at the watch was to make. I took a look at the hands, and I thought, well, I don't like them that much. So can I make them myself? But I never worked with materials with steel, metal and stuff. So I thought, well, I just buy a piece of metal, a sheet of metal, a saw, a file, a drill, and then how hard can it be? Just start filing and well. And then I thought, okay, so it must be possible. And then I took a look at my watch and thought, well, the dial is just printed, pad printed, and it's quite simple. So, but it's metal as well. So if I can make the hands, I can make the dial. And then I thought, well, if I can make the hands and dial, wait a minute, why not make the whole movement? Then I can design my own kind of movements with my own layout and everything I want, and maybe even complications, and maybe even for customers later. So I started with that idea. Then I went inside Google watchmaking the Netherlands. I found some courses. I did the courses, and I thought, well, I just use an ETA 6497 or 98 movement, take the escapement out and all the gears, and make my own bridges and maybe the main plate, and start from there. And then you can play around a bit with the layout maybe. So that's a start. And then after 1 year, I found out that there are actually quite a lot of people doing that already. So I thought, well, that's not so such a big challenge anymore. Then I have to make everything. So, and then it becomes interesting.
So, but how did you obtain the knowledge? You can't just take a few courses at local watchmaking school. And in fact, so people understand, there's very few schools that even teach in depth anywhere in the world of manufacturing your own movement and designing and figuring out the circumference of the gears and how they interact with each other and what kind of escapement should be used. There's the K&H school that I'm always pushing like drugs on everybody, because that really is, especially if you're in English at all. That's the only school as far as I'm concerned. It's mainly, they teach after sales service up to maybe chronograph repair, and then kind of you're on your own. So we're always on our own. How did you, make that next leap? It must be the George Daniels book that gave you most of your basic information, I assume.
Yes, some. Yeah. I used Daniels for the escapement, alongside the Dutch school document about escapement design, and I took a French document and a German document, and I put it all together because it's 98% all the same. But there were some differences. For example, Daniels says when you have a hardened fork, I think it's on the pellet fork. If it's hardened, then the impulse angle can be changed a bit. So, but the other escapement designers didn't tell you that. So I put everything together into one and started designing the escapement from there. And when I started the courses in Schoonhoven, I met a lot of people there, and most of them I still know. So you become friends. One became a teacher there. A teacher at that school is a friend of mine. Now there's a new teacher, also somebody I know well. So they can give me information. And other watchmakers. And I started knowing other watchmakers as well. So they could help me out as well. Because you can't do it on your own completely.
We all get stuck somewhere along the way. No matter who we are, we can brain scratch for a while. In after sales service, in my past or restorations, sometimes you stump yourself, and when you don't have an answer, you have to put it in a safe, and then it could be a month.
Yeah.
It could be 6 months, could be a year and a half, and then all of a sudden, you could be like having breakfast, and it pops in your head. Oh, there's the answer. And then that's where it is. But if you have people that have extensive knowledge, we have to have them. Because nowadays we can email, send pictures, or short videos, and not like the old days with me. We really stuck. That's great, man. You did it fast. It might seem like it was a long time, but you made a lot of friends along the way. You had to learn about all the tools, the metal, and you're not in Switzerland, so everything is against you. Everything is against you completely. Yep. Wow. And now you're not in the shed anymore.
No. I actually got a nice workplace now. So I really like it here.
So, but you're doing something quite unique. We're going to Johnny's going to show some pictures in a bit, but the way you're doing this is you really are one-on-one with the customer who is going to order one solid timepiece with you, and they have the option of actually changing their complications. It's not just change the dial or maybe a little additions here and there, because that's complicated enough. But for you to actually, if someone comes to you and says, I would like a jumping hour watch, you haven't made one yet, you'll tackle that for them and go for it. Am I correct to assume that that's your business model for now?
Yeah, true.
You're crazy, dude. You're out of your mind, man.
Yeah, that makes it interesting. So
I see that, but we're all out of our minds if we're not like you, right? Then it's just boring as far as I'm concerned.
You have to be nuts, completely nuts.
Look at me here. It's the same thing, right? It's like, no, my escapement's not good enough. I woke up one day like, okay, what happens if I make it all out of titanium? And it's not just because no one had done it before. It's for technical reasons for me. Can it be done? Because then there's no wear for forever on any of the parts. And the pallet lever that I'm making, it's not a normal escapement, so it's very long and it has to be very light. But we need those challenges, is my point. That's what drives us, right?
True. Yeah. And it's everybody's dream to design and make your own escapement. Yeah. Revolutionize the watch world and stuff.
Let's touch on that, because I'm going to have Johnny throw up some pictures, because I said in almost every one of these episodes to people that they need to understand some of the smoke and mirrors bullshit that's behind this stuff. When someone says that they made everything in their watch, and some of the biggest companies in the world, they're not making the escape wheel. I don't give a crap, who it is. It's almost non-existent. It's possible. It is possible to make. It's just so time consuming. It has to be done totally by handmade cutters, because usually they're stamped. Now you are one of those guys I just named. You're out of your mind, and you're making. If I'm correct, you're making your own escape wheel, correct?
Yes, true.
Yeah, you're nuts. All right. Let's get that straight off the bat here, because nuts sells.
No, okay. Then it's fine. Yeah.
So this is the beginning of the escape wheel. Well, actually, the card, that is the beginning of the escapement. But
stay in school, kids. Stay in math school.
Yeah.
Keep the maths. And but if anyone's watching this, you'll notice there's a very different configuration to the lever. For instead of having a central lever, so to speak, there is it's triangular.
Tell us a little about that, Michael.
Yeah, I thought it would be better to make it in a triangular shape, because normally this part would have had the shape of an anchor, and that's why it's called the anchor. Yeah. But in this way, in a triangular shape, the forces go straight through the two legs or arms. And so you can make it lighter, and it's hardened metal, so it's very, very stiff, so you can make them even thinner than you would normally do, making it even more light. So then, this way, the forces go straight through in one line, so it's more efficient and it's lighter. Mm-hmm. So I thought it would be a better idea than the original one.
So you reinvented it?
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But
on your first watch.
So on his first watch. What kind of steel are you using for the anchor?
They call it silver steel here. I think it's maybe O2. It has 1.2% carbon and 0.2% chrome.
Yeah, O2.
I think it's about the same as O2.
Yeah. Wow. Born out of ingenuity. But as far as the escape wheel, where and how did you figure out how to do that in-house?
Well, after designing the escape wheel itself, I could design the cutter that was needed for it. Normally you would need 3 cutters, because one side of a teeth is straight, but on the other side there's a shoe shape, but you can't get under the tip of the shoe, so you need to mill that on another point. So I designed a cutter for this based on the escape wheel design I had, and this cutter, this one, you can see it has 3 teeth next to each other, so it does 3 different kind of cuts in one go.
So you designed the cutter in CAD and then sent it off somewhere to Switzerland to make a custom cutter, hoping that it would work when it got back after you spent all that money.
Yes, they are expensive, and the company told me, "What? A 3-way cutter? We're going to steal your idea. Thanks." Right. You're welcome to use it, of course.
Right, you stupid idiot! You should have spent the money to patent it. Yeah.
I have seen that.
Oh yeah, I see it all the time, because our brains are very inventive. and people in business suits aren't. But anyway, so people should understand what we go through as far as cutters go. A lot of us make our own in-house for the same reasons that Michael is saying. We'll actually make a series of them and test them first, and then if they do work, we send them off to Switzerland. There's very few people that make custom cutters. We have to wait approximately six weeks or so, right, Michael? Usually, at least. And they're terribly expensive. And let's remember, this is for one wheel, people. Doesn't last forever. Carbide cutters are astronomically priced. It's kind of some of the stuff I'm going through here because all my gears and pinions are all custom. So it's the same thing. So for people who are wondering, hey man, why does your watch cost so much? The big companies, it's only whatever it is for their. Well, we're one person, and we have to actually come up with tens of thousands of dollars just for Cutters. Okay, so it's something no one probably even understands. They just look at the pictures on Instagram and like we're cutting the wheel. They're like, oh, cool. Is that like $8, bro? Like, you go down to Lowe's or Home Depot and pick one of them cutters up there, tough guy. No, that is worse, man.
You can go to P.T. Thornton, for example, and use standard cutters. But I wanted to use more recent tooth shape for more efficiency. So then you have to design your own cutters and then let them be made in Switzerland. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, Thornton is very, even if you can get them, they don't do any custom cutters whatsoever. So it's whatever they sell is close enough to what you're going to do.
That's it.
People like you or people like me, that don't fly.
No.
Right. Yeah, it just doesn't fit our design and our mechanics. So I'm only saying this not to be a dick. I'm explaining it so that other people can understand. This is something most people, it's kind of secretive, to tell you the truth. It's really hard to find this stuff out. So I'm not going to give you everything because I'm a little bit secretive too. But it's another really big problem we have, especially for Michael, who's not in Switzerland. We can't go down to these companies and speak to them. Most of them don't speak any English. I have to have it done through somebody else because the distributorship here in America, they don't even send gears here. Who in America besides me is going to want a gear, right? I mean, a gear cutter, excuse me. It's just not profitable for them. So they have no interest in it. So by the time it gets here, it wouldn't be cost effective for me either. So I have to find a friend that's in Switzerland that can talk French to the French and translate all my CAD, all my CAM, and same for Michael, I'm assuming.
Yes,
or you do speak French, I don't know.
No.
So these are the independent problems that we have that I keep talking about. So Michael has very similar problems there, especially when he's making a 3-bladed cutter that he just had his whole entire patent stolen from.
Oh, well.
I was getting somewhere, right? You guys knew that, right?
For sure.
I want to make watches, not patents. So.
Well, there we go. And so this is the evolution of the process with your escape, having taken it off the cutter. What do you do here? Polishing?
Polishing and burnishing the tips of the teeth. So the escape wheel is fitted on a small axle, and it can revolve around that axle. On the left bottom, there's a screw that's off center. So when you turn the screw, it goes sideways, so you can manipulate the place where the teeth will be on top.
Yeah.
So
the spring is holding it in place. The spring is holding it in place.
Yes.
And the screw, you remove the screw to allow each to rotate it, and then replace it.
No, you have to take take the wheel off entirely, and then put it back one teeth further.
And the screw is eccentric, correct?
Yes, eccentric. Yes.
So you can finally adjust the top of the tooth. So you're hand filing every tooth.
Burnishing and polishing. Yes.
Wow. And how long is that taking you on?
Easy peasy. It was just maybe it took 10 takes for the first one to look okay.
Easy peasy, 10 days. Yeah.
Yeah, those things are terrible to make, but at the end, I got the hang of it. So the first one took me weeks and weeks, and then finally I got one looking well fine, and then I had to make another one and another one and another one, and well, number 10 or 11 was good.
Amazing. See, Johnny, see how this goes. It's not people need to understand. This is not, hey, dude, make me a watch, and yeah, what do you do? Just cut that wheel out, or what you saw there? Yeah, that's cool. Very good. This is not how this works.
It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing.
What I like to see is I love to see this in people who like Michael, who didn't go to school to have traditional training in this, and their ingenuity and the ideas of, they've read some books and seen some ways of doing things, but then they say, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to try my way. How can I polish the teeth and make a jig to do it my way? I love seeing that. Definitely.
Or maybe it's just the lack of knowledge that might help as well.
But sometimes the lack of knowledge is the mother of all inventions.
I firmly believe that.
Yes, absolutely.
The more I have seen of independent watchmaking, and the guys like Konstantin Chaikin in Russia, and far away from where there's any normal or established formal center of education, that generates this creativity and innovation. And it's I firmly believe that if you do it your own way, it will always come through in the final result. And so
well, that's how creativity that wasn't here in the past comes to be. It's not any different than music, the music I created. It's the same kind of scenario, It's breaking rules. Rules are meant to be broken.
Totally.
Yep, true.
So cool, man. I can't believe what I'm looking at, because Michael, for weeks and weeks and weeks in these episodes, I try to explain to people that, the escape wheel is the hurdle. And it's the reason I keep pushing open source watchmaking, and I'm part of the Spent.com movement for my escapement, which is the Louis Richard escapement, so that people don't have the problem that you have here, that they can make their own escape wheel, special cutters, and it's me and Luke and Cyril Brevet who are pushing open source watchmaking. So we're very glad you're showing these pictures and your processes. It's very, very important for all of us.
Yeah, and I think it's not, well, the escape wheel is one thing, it's quite hard to do, but if you design your own escapement, then you can't fit in existing pellets anymore. So then you have to start making your own pellets as well, and the same is goes for the pellet fork.
So you found out the hard way how to grind rubies.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, that's not easy, people. That red stuff right there is not plastic, okay? Yeah, we need
definitely not. But they're very cute looking, aren't they? Beautiful little, aren't they? Little polished pieces of perfection, and But that's not how they start out, though, is it? Really, So it'd be more like this, would it?
Yes, and that's a 2mm brass pin with a chip of diamond glued on the top.
Yeah,
because only diamond is harder than the ruby. So you take a diamond, put it on a metal plate, take a hammer, smash the diamond, and then you can take the chips.
So you sure you're still married? She was sleeping and you stole a ring in the middle of the night.
Yeah, her engagement ring is gone now.
Oh yeah.
Well, I need it for my watch.
Whatever it takes, man.
Whatever.
Get that Porsche back.
but here's a question for you, Machiel. Okay, so it's you can buy jewels, you can buy rubies, finished and ready to pop in, and
not the right side.
Why did you go this direction?
Well, because I couldn't find the right rubies for the barrel, because they're quite big. And I haven't seen any rubies in any barrels as well, so I couldn't buy them. So I thought, well, let's make them as well. I to make the roller as well, and and the pallet. So I thought, well, why not make some more? So that's actually the reason. And I knew you could buy the regular sizes, but not for the barrel.
No.
So
I found that out here too. Just once again, a very big problem we have, because independent watchmakers such as Michael or myself and many others at the level that we're at, or someone like me who has serviced so many of the world's best timepieces, we see the problems that are in the past. And the barrels, the arbor is usually just drilled into the brass or German silver plate. After 10, 15 years of constant wearing, it's the most force that there is in a normal time-only timepiece. That wear is oblong, and it's a lot of problems happen. You see a lot of people, maybe if you follow it on Instagram, they'll cut that hole out and put in a beryllium bronze piece like Patek Philippe used to do in their vintage watches from the factory. But now we have jewels at our fingertips to do this, what Michael wanted to do. We can't get them. I've tried. I can get them. I could order my custom size. That's 500 would be the minimum order for each, one for the top, one for the bottom, which that's 2 different sizes. Mm-hmm. So, you're looking at, I don't know what that is. I think when I figured it out, it was like $27,000, something like that. And I need 5 of them. Welcome to independent watchmaking. So if you're wondering why Michael stole his wife's diamond ring and smashed up the diamond, and and through ingenuity figured out a way to do what he had in his head, that's why. Then this is what we do. This is what separates us from the herd, and helps our creativity be what it is, and stay at the top, at the peak. That your watch is going to last. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Look at that. That's killer.
Yeah. So again, I'd say the first one wasn't the finished article, was it? You had to experiment again, Machiel, yeah?
Yes, yeah, this is cutting off. For the first, this is for the barrel as well. So this is cutting off the first ring, and then working on that. And it took about 3 weeks for the first one to finish, and then it was finished, and you can see the brass on the right side, small brass rod.
Yes.
It's glued with shellac, and so when you turn the what's it called, the ruby, then you have to get it center again. So I made a sort of a pivot on the brass, and so I could turn it around as many times as I wanted because it's centered.
Yes.
And then it was finished after 3 weeks, and I was over the moon. It was looking perfect. And then I had to heat the brass to take the ruby off, and it all went fine. And then I looked under the microscope, and I thought, that's a hair, or oh no, it's a crack. Okay, so 3 weeks of work down the drain, and then you just take a deep breath, don't get emotional, get the next ruby, and start cutting again.
Mm. Wow. Are you, like, I was reading a couple of interviews with you, like Frank Keelan it's wrote a love letter to you, basically. But this was, there was another incident where you made a minuscule component, dropped it, and that was gone forever. Yeah, and that was.
Well, there's a picture of that somewhere
yeah.
as well.
Would that be it there?
That one, yes. So that's 0.6 millimeters wide by 0.391 millimeters in width. And I lost it actually 3 times in my little shed with all the mess around and all the stuff. I found it 3 times.
Show a picture. Can you show a picture of his first masterpiece? Do we have something good, Johnny?
Yes, I think your dad was asking to show us your first watch. No, I don't know about any. Is the first watch the Marie Elise? Or?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
the one previous to that. So
This one.
yeah. So absolutely just beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's hard. Okay, we can't really make out the gouache dial, etc., and the work on the dial. I'll see if I can find another image of monochrome or something while we're talking, and
the movement too.
Oh, surely. Well, we do have an image of the
Oh yeah,
movement.
baby. Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
Right.
man. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thanks.
Beautiful symmetry. Beautiful symmetry.
Isn't
Absolutely.
it?
Yeah, the whole idea was indeed the symmetry. So I wanted the balance bridge to be at 90 degrees opposite of the crown,
Yeah.
and not like most ETA movements, 15 or 20 degrees to the right or left. So that was, I wanted to get it in center to get a nice balance, because I didn't even put in a seconds, because it had to be somewhere. I think it's about 6:30. There could be a seconds dial. I thought, nah, it's not about the dial, and it's not about where to place it. It's about the movement. So I don't even want to use a seconds indicator there. I just want to have a nice movement.
Which you have absolutely achieved with that. So
And the shock system, I made the shock system as well, and that was quite a funny thing to do.
funny.
So 600th of a millimeter thick, the spring, and so normally when you see movements, you always see the Inca block or maybe KIF or something, but you can always recognize the shock system.
Yeah, the shape of Inca block is it's
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I don't want that, so I made it myself.
You made the actual spring yourself?
Yes, yeah, and the whole the cup, what's it called? The whole system.
Yeah. Wow. You need to you need a good patent attorney, bro.
Well,
you're missing out now. Wait, you know what? Look, the bottom line is patents. Well, nowadays patents don't really mean much. To tell
No.
you the truth. They did when our great grandparents were here and all that. We were all protected, and especially in watchmaking, there is some connection, some way, somehow, somewhere to something in the past in everything we do. So there really isn't any more patents, people. This is just something really, really crazy, like flipping triangular, futuristic type watches and that kind of stuff. You can patent your sub mechanism. But what we do is giving love back to the world, and if we're kind of flattered if someone adds on to whatever we imagine and create, because we're the originators, and you can only get the original from the one dude who's in his backyard shed, like Michael, and that's the dude. So anyone else is just a copy and a fraud, unless they build upon it and borrow some of it and move on, and that's a blessing to all of us, because that means we did something right.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's the way I look at it. I share all my stuff. I'm an open source kind of guy in this world that we're in now.
You have to. You give and you receive. So and that's I love that way of working. So it's really, for me, it's a very open world.
Well, I think
in the watchmaking world, we share everything together, and I think that's
we should all learn from this generation of technology, because that's what they're doing. That's what open source is. It works. It just works.
Yes.
So anyway, man, that's just magnificent. And not only did you do your own shock system, and that people have to know that this is not based on any other timepiece. It's the whole layout, the wheels, the gears, the pinions, the mathematics, everything is a 5-year journey to get where you are. But what I want to ask is, if it took you 5 years, yes, you had to learn all the processes, you had to learn about machines and the metal, and you've gotten here. And speaking even for someone like me, or I speak to my friends who have been doing this their whole life, we're always learning. We don't know anything. Okay, I could ask an 85-year-old, walking legend watchmaker, and and he'll say the same thing that I'm saying about myself.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. That's the way we are. How is someone comes to you and says, I want a tourbillon retrograde? How are you gonna start over and produce that in the time frame that is necessary, within reason, to to do that, and it not be 5 years, let's say? Because that's a huge accomplishment, man.
Thanks. Yeah. For the tourbillon, it was indeed quite hard because I had to tell him it's not going to be 3 months. It's going to take, for the first tourbillon, it will take more than 1 year. So it's a bit less than 1.5 years. And that's how much time it takes, because you have to start from scratch again. It's a whole new movement, layout, everything, every gear. I couldn't reuse one of the gear cutters. Everything is from the ground up again. And after this, I can make another tourbillon a bit faster, of course. So then I will save a lot of time.
Okay, so I see where you're headed. That was my question: is, are you, if every year or year and a half, if someone comes to you with a new complication and you need to wipe that slate clean and not use the going train from your original watch and still have to do it in a reasonable time frame, you can get a little bit faster. But but now I see what you're doing. If you build that first tourbillon, you can use that some of those same EBOSH of your own to push forward and produce at least one timepieces a year. Is that where your goal is, kind of in your business model? Great.
That's great. For example, if you have an escapement that works very well, then it's the best way is to reuse it instead of designing a whole new one. So now I have an escapement for bigger size movements, and that I can use. For example, I can show you later something on my phone, something nice. For another customer, he wanted something spectacular, and I thought, well, I need a big tractor to make all the parts move. But I have that escapement for that already in design. So, and I know it works very good. So I will reuse those designs from the balance and the pallet fork and stuff, all the calculations. So that saves a bit of time.
You can scale up, scale down. The wonders of CAD, that helps us immensely.
No. For the tourbillon it does, because I could design an escapement and then you just flip the fork 90 degrees and then you have another pallet fork meant for a tourbillon, and you can put it back in a triangular shape, for example, and have a regular escapement. So you have actually 3 escapements: a big one with a 16 millimeter balance, and a small one for a tourbillon with I think it's 10.5 millimeter balance. And you can use the same without the tourbillon cage, just a different gear train, and then but the same escapement again. So
so it's so after your plan is after 4 or 5 timepieces, you have a good kind of Lego set building block of different components that you could share alike, and they're all your own.
Yes.
Proprietary. That's great. That's a great idea. So put the time in the beginning, the first 5 or 8 years, and then you can kind of roll on. And you had to teach yourself CAD as well? What, you work in SolidWorks or Fusion?
Fusion 360. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Just so everyone's following along, Johnny, we should keep mentioning this because I think in George Daniel's book it says we have to know like 41 or 43 professions to make a timepiece. That's all wrong. His book needs to be the next edition when it comes out, because we all need to now learn CAD, right? So if we're running a CNC machine, then we have to learn CAM. We have to learn programming to change the CAM at the machine. And then we have to be a CNC machinist. Okay, that's a full-time job. So these are professions, not half-assed professions. It's actually worse because of how accurate we need to make our stuff, and it goes on and on. Someone like me, I built my own little CNC machine, so now I'm a machine builder. That's a profession. So we've really progressed as independent watchmakers in pushing the envelope, and we're also machine restorers old vintage machines. That is a profession. Man, I could keep going, right? I mean, Michael's got his top. He's a ruby maker.
It's true what you say because
my CNC machine yet. So,
but if you were working for, if this is a big brand with a massive ateliers, there would be somebody for each one of those jobs, a specialist for each one of those skills, be it hands, be it thermal gluing, be it guilloche, be it any part of it, as you say, calibrating the balance of the escapements. But
how did you do that?
Up there. I got a couple of new images up there. But yeah, it was a big company. There'd be somebody for each one of those jobs.
Yeah, or even small independents that we've talked to, Johnny. Right? They don't want to learn CAD or CAM because they're in Switzerland and they have suppliers, but they're now at a point where they'd like to make more than 3 or 4 watches a year. So now they have to take their income from somebody who purchased, say, one timepiece and hire a full-time movement designer, which is a person who works in CAD, but he's trained to make watch movements, what Michael had to learn, all the mathematics and how the escapement interacts and all that, full-time. So he has to sit there, so they have to pay him a yearly good salary, right, and invest in him so that they can keep working on their watch to make income, to pay him. So there's our full-time jobs that Michael had to learn, that a lot of us have to learn to stay not just competitive, but to make precise parts. And
you want to do it your way, absolutely.
We have to make people aware of this because you really do have to be beyond nuts. You really do. It's like Wile E. Coyote Super Genius stuff. You use CNC over there, Michael?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do have. I can show you around a bit, maybe.
Let's have it.
I cleaned the shop a bit. So let's see. Okay, it's a bit wobbly, maybe. Okay.
Good.
Oh, we can start from here. So that's the Hauser profile projector, and it does 1:200 ratio. I bought that one because this is a Mito2Yo, but it goes 1:50. So I can check the profiles of the teeth on this sheet of paper. I designed the shape of the teeth, and then I can compare the results on that machine. And there's gold plating and plating machine for different kind of plating, and a digital microscope and cleaning stuff. Kitchen. That's my F1 and some drills, Lorg, lathe, a pinion polisher. That's this one. I'm very proud of my pinion polisher.
Yeah, I know all about that pinion polish.
Hey, Hugo.
Hey, buddy.
That's Hugo. That's my intern.
How you doing, man?
Great. You?
Great.
He will be the next independent watchmaker.
I hope so.
Great. I love to see this. This is amazing. What's the machine next to the F1 I can't see from here? Is that
That's a drill.
Okay, a little drill. And you got a Shablin 70 over there. Your
corner. And this is the gear cutting machine. It's running now with digital indexing. And,
I remember seeing that. That you did post on Instagram. How you had digital indexing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's killer.
This is
okay.
the pantograph.
The Japanese have infiltrated into your shop too.
Japanese? Where?
Well, I look at the pantograph machine the way we're using it as Masahiro Kikuno in Japan. He, as far as I'm concerned, he's the first one that really showed us all the extra capabilities that we can utilize as independent watchmakers for a pantograph machine. And I think since him, we all want one. We all realize, hey, wait, this thing can do a lot more than just make numbers,
Yes, yeah. Oh, and there's a CNC on the back, the blue one, with the screen and a printer, and my workbench over there, and there will be another workbench here on the end of the desk. But indeed, the pantograph, you can use it. For example, if you have a broken part, you can put it on the microscope here, and you can draw it on this piece of paper, the outlines. You take the piece of paper to the pantograph, and you can copy it, and then you can take the results, put it under the microscope, and check if it's the same as the existing part.
It's basically an old school CNC machine,
Yes.
which is really, really cool. And I'm really glad that Masahiro did really show us, because I know he makes his nameplates on there, and it's opened up a lot. I know my friends, a lot of them do restoration work. And in the past, you know, when I couldn't get a mounted mini recorder spring, say for an old Patek or whatever, it was either file one for 2 or 3 weeks, like you would do in your rubies, and usually they break in the end anyway because they're so thin, or you just have to give the watch back to the person many years ago and say, listen, there's no more parts, it just can't be fixed, you know. And now, because of the pantograph being available at somewhat of an affordable price, we can do almost any part. It's killer. And you got a great one. Not many people know about the Coleman, so try to keep that a secret.
Okay.
Yeah, those are really good machines. It looks like you got one. It looks like it's basically brand new.
Yeah, it looks quite okay, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Killer, beautiful workshop, man. You've come a long ways from the shed, man.
It's amazing.
And actually, the nice thing is, most of this stuff that's in here now was in my little shed.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
You take big steps to get over it.
Yeah.
Put the monitors above each other because it didn't fit anymore. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's the story, man. It's just we'll do whatever we can because we love what we do. It's not a job. It's very adventurous. It's so challenging. You know, you heard Michael say he spent so long making a ruby, weeks of his existence on this planet, and then it's no good. So when you get one of his timepieces, and and you look at the rubies in there, it's not just like they're store bought from sites over in Switzerland. He's hand making and hand grinding all that. You're purchasing someone's love of art and time from their life and their existence.
It's amazing, absolutely. It's like I know. Look, we have fantastic conversations with the people who have joined us before, but to go into this kind of molecular level of detail, to see how a guy with no real recognized formal certification from any school or anything out there, to learn this the hard way. To come up with the results like this is
and not in Switzerland. I'm going to keep bringing that up.
Yeah,
it's not hard. I mean, it's very hard where he is, and Michael does have a little bit of a claim to fame now because he did it, and he is the first person in the history of his country to make a ground up movement, and that's incredible, man. God bless you, bro. It's amazing.
Thank you.
How did you learn how to do the guilloche? How can you tell us how you're doing that?
A friend of mine, he has a straight line guilloche machine, and now he has a rose engine as well, and a copy machine and stuff. So I went to his place for a couple of weeks and tried his machine over there, and tried different patterns and stuff, and just practice from morning till evening. And then after a couple of weeks, I found the right way to mount the dial, even because all the little details count in guilloche. For example, I had a dial I was working on for a day, and it was looking perfect, I thought, on the machine. Then we took it off the machine, and I looked at it, and there was a black line in the dial. But when I turned the dial a bit around and moved it around, then the line would disappear, and then it came back again. So there was something wrong. So you can't use that dial. but where does the black line come from? I don't want to make the same mistake again, so let's analyze. So we took a microscope and we couldn't find it. Then we took a digital microscope, and we were not even sure then, but we thought it might have been that I pressed one of those lines. I don't know how many lines, maybe 150 lines or something. One of those lines, I didn't press hard enough. So the line wasn't as deep as all the other lines. So the pressure on my thumb was a bit different than all the other lines. Mm-hmm. But even on the digital microscope, you couldn't. We guessed. We still think it might have been the depth. We think it was the depth. And with the eye, you can clearly see it like this. It's no good. Throw it away. Mm-hmm. And such minor details matter with guillotine. It's incredible. So that's why it took such a long time to make one dial.
So you found a friend with these rare, super rare machines that I know because I'm trying to get them here. Because I'm just as crazy as you. So even though your friend had the machines, see, this is where we start to relate, well, a lot of us. You could have just said, dude, make me a dial, because that's his machines. He knows what he's doing. But no, you said, move out of the way. I need time and space. I want to do it myself because I want everything to be done by me. I want to know how this stuff works. That's impressive, man. That's just really impressive. And it came out absolutely, it came out stunning, man. Stunning.
Thanks.
So now you have to buy a guilloche machine.
Yeah, and a rose engine.
They're expensive.
Let's see what more I can sell to buy one.
Kidney. They got a kidney. You got a kidney.
Oh, maybe a kidney.
For a rose engine, yeah.
Kidney for a rose engine, yeah.
Yeah, they're hard. I'm in the process of getting one here because that's where I'm at here. Soon be dial making. Yeah, that's amazing, man. The story is just killer. And like Johnny said, right? Johnny, he's doing this. It's kind of like no formal training. He had to figure out. Imagine any other profession. Hey, dude. Yeah, I'm a lawyer today. I quit my job. In 5 years, I'll be in court.
If you read social media, there's plenty of different lawyers never saw a day in school in their lives. If you want legal advice, you'll get it online, that's for sure. But well, speaking of that, like, coming up the hard way, there was a question there about our Captain Forrest, who's a regular, who followed us from the very start, and his question was, starting your work, making your first watch, is there anything you wish you'd done differently or learned sooner? And
what was the question again? Sorry. Is there
anything
something you wish you'd done differently or learned sooner in the workshop? Well, yeah. First off, of course, never buy cheap stuff. It doesn't work. You have to buy the old stuff and the good stuff, and they will work. And maybe they need some TLC, but you can't find a new micro drill, for example, for a reasonable price that does the work of a 60-year-old 60-kilogram micro drill that's super stable. And maybe you need to put a VDF on it and or another motor or whatever. But they will work a lot better than most new stuff will. Mm-hmm. So never buy cheap. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Now you'd have to go back and repair what you started, So, so there we go, Captain Forrest. Don't buy the cheap stuff.
Yes, do it the right way or no way. There's Even Bertillon, they make, for example, I bought a Bertillon set, and even they have sometimes difficulty with keeping up the quality. And sometimes you can even buy an old Bowley set, for example, a bit cheaper even, maybe 20 years old, and they work a lot better. But you have to buy the right stuff, buy the good stuff, and cheap stuff will ruin your work actually, and it will cost you a lot of time to fix it.
What I think what Michael's trying to say is the precision that we need is down to the microns, right? So the machine might be built even, somewhat good and good for making other parts or something else, but it's not going to be that precise. But the machines from yesteryear, like that I've restored here, we all restore for our workshops. They were built 60, 80 years ago with a different mindset to last for lifetimes, and they were built with precision that we need. So you're better off, saving up and finding an old one that's rusty somewhere from some company that went out of business and restoring it yourself, slowly finding the parts it's missing, and having a really good, accurate machine. Because when you're going to turn something, or if you're going to drill something or mill something, you're going to beat yourself up. You're going to be like, I'm doing it right, man. What's going on? Why is the part off by this much? Why is it not right? And it's not you. It's the machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Machiel under the dial.
This is the front of the watch without the dial we're looking at, indeed. Yeah. And I just going through some of the things. You sent me so many images, Machiel, that I wanted to get an opportunity to go through some of them. But you also sent some of your next creation, or the one that's in the pipeline at the minute, which is your tourbillon, as you've mentioned. They're like the
I'm not a 3D designer, so I want to stick to the basics and learn a bit more every day. But I'm not a 3D graphic designer, so this I can design the movements and this kind of stuff, but it's not perfect to look at, but technically it works. So this is a double barrel tourbillon with a spring-driven tourbillon cage at 2,800 beats per hour, retrograde minutes and jumping hours.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
So instead of
this is already in progress.
Yes, it's running.
Wow.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, I tried the spring-driven tourbillon because I thought, well, it's such a big cage, and when it stops, actually the pellets on the escape wheel make the whole cage stop. So that's quite an impact on there. So why not put a spring somewhere, and then so the whole shock of the cage can be absorbed a bit. And because it's a high frequency tourbillon, because normally most of the tourbillons are not 28,800 but lower. So because this one had to go that fast, the balance, I thought, well, then the escape wheel has to react instantly. There mustn't be any lag. But the whole cage has to first come into circulation, and then only the escape wheel will start turning. So I put a spring in between there, so the escape wheel is always under tension. So it has a double function of absorbing the shock and always keeping the tension on the escape wheel. So it's not a remontoire, but it's a bit similar.
And you're using a hairspring to do that?
No, I made the spiral myself.
Right.
I was asking that question because I almost knew the answer, actually.
I wanted to use a spiral, but there wasn't any space because it has to be flat. Everything has to be flat. The whole watch is only 10 millimeters in thickness.
Wow.
And for a tourbillon, that's not very thick. But this is a handmade tourbillon, so it was quite a challenge to make it that thin. So there wasn't any space for a viral. What do you call the part that goes on the balance staff?
Collet.
Collet. Oh, the collet.
Right.
Yeah. where the spring goes around.
Wow, yeah, because running at 28.8, usually the reason it's so rare is wear and tear. Just like in a time only watch, slowing it down at 18,000, it might not keep as good a time, but it'll run forever and not suck up so much oil so fast.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So yeah, no, we're really looking forward to this. This is a leap and
Yeah, I send the. I don't know if the movie works because maybe you will have sound problems, but
Let's see.
okay. Let's see if I can find the picture or the movie. Let's see. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Is it this one? I think it's this one.
Okay, we can
see that good. Great.
Oh man.
Wow, man.
It's very consistent. It runs beautifully. And now I'm working on the under the dial side. So it's all in parts now, and this is for the jumping hour and retrograde minutes.
Wow.
So.
Oh.
And where did you get your ideas for understanding the mechanism to do jumping hours? And that's one of my specialties. My love is chronographs and jumping hours, but I like the hairspring retrogrades and all that kind of stuff. So where did you obtain this knowledge? Because usually we got to play, man. We learn traditional ways. And someone like me gets blessed enough to work their way into a company where I shouldn't have been back in the old days, and to get my hands inside these, because there's really no instructions. So if you could explain to someone who's maybe in your position and wants to, curse out their boss and leave their job, how you got to this point here and learned about these mechanisms, because you can't just do this, bro. It's just not possible.
Well. Yeah, for this, I actually didn't have any examples. I didn't look at other stuff. So I just figured this has to work. So I just started designing, and of course with the basic knowledge of the angles that are needed and that kind of stuff. And I do have to adjust the thickness of the springs, of course, because there will be too much tension now, so they're made too thick, and I can always file them down thinner. So I have to do that with a lot of stuff still. Mm-hmm. So it will be a bit of trial and error, but I think it will work. So
you certainly have a library of books there that you're at least looking at some kind of mechanisms to get an idea, right?
No, not for this one. No.
No. This is why I'm asking these questions, because there's other people out there like you. There is, and this is what's very cool, because it's very creative. It's called, hey man, I don't want to know. I know it's out there. I'll figure it out. And sometimes that's when a breakthrough comes through, and really cool stuff happens from that, because you're thinking completely out of the box from someone who taught you or something that was been in your brain, and relative to music and the music that I helped to create, right? It didn't sound like anything before it. It's something was in me. I listened to other music, obviously, but when I went to create something, what came out of me was you had to break all the rules. You had to start from a clean slate. Not even what came out of me is how you pick. It was a whole new way that's never been before. No one ever picked that fast in up and down picking and sat there 8, 9, 10 hours a day just going try to go faster. They used to just play like the strumming shit, and to go like a cannon, that hadn't been invented. And every teacher in guitar that would say, would say, if it was, we call it down picking, so go, 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 go. That sounds different than if you're just pushing down each time. Than if a teacher would teach you, no, that's all wrong. That's not methodical. You're wasting energy. You're supposed to go, 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 go. Well, you know what, bro? It sounds wrong. It has a different sound. So you break the rules to develop something new. Is what I'm getting at. And you're definitely on your path to do that. Who knows what you're going to invent, man? You could be in there twiddling away. And we all file springs. They never come out perfect, bro. Just so you know, we can anneal them. We can measure them. They're all going to be different. That piece of metal in that spot of that piece of metal is going to have different properties. It's just the way it is. We have to file them and get the right tension in every single, anything complicated, from a chronograph up, all tension springs. It's just the way it is. So don't think what you're doing is perfect. Wow, that's just great, man.
It's astonishing. Just speaking of chronographs, would you tackle a chronograph, a Machiel Hulsman chronograph? Would you? Or
well, actually, they don't look very complicated, but they are. So I think this complication is a lot easier. With the jumping hours and stuff, it's easier to make than a chronograph. I think a lot easier.
Yeah, it's estimated complication, isn't it? Really, like
flybacks are hard.
Yeah,
flybacks. They're not hard. They're hard to make, but they're hard to make to last.
Yes.
Why is it not going back to zero exactly every time? Why is it getting stuck over here? These are the problems in longevity that are always prevalent in these mechanisms. Me, I'm a specialist in the ones that are retrogrades for flyback with hairsprings. You're forever adjusting the tension of the hairspring, or someone else has been in the watch, and all that kind of stuff. So those are the kind of things. The mechanism itself, you'll be able to definitely get through that. I can't wait, man. This is just killer. Absolutely killer. From the shed to tourbillon flybacks, retrogrades.
Yeah. The next one will be for my next customer. That will be a really amazing watch. You
showed me a glimpse of it yesterday, did you?
I asked him if I could show you, and he said okay.
Wow.
But it's such a great person as well. So, and that's my current customer as well. When you have the passion and you build something, and you work together on a project, and everybody's getting excited, and it's the best job in the world ever. So
you build wonderful friendships, right?
Yes, for sure.
Look at that independent watchmaking. It's unbelievable.
Okay. Let's see. This is.
We're gonna have a look. Are we gonna have a look? One moment. Here on the.
Let's see if I can.
Okay. Yep. There's the logo.
Oh, I have to put this one on.
Oh yeah.
What happened there?
I switched off the monitor, but is it still visible?
It's hard to see the dial. What's the detail on the dial? But
okay.
So it would probably be better in the dark, to tell you the truth.
I'll have to do the monitor. One moment.
Turn the volume down on it, Machiel.
Okay.
We don't need the music, and you can talk us through it.
Let's see if it works now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, there's it.
Good.
Okay. So this is mirror dial. It's a perpetual calendar with big date.
Right. A mirror dial.
Mirror dial, and then here's 37 time zones. It's hard to see. 37 time zones with an outer disk. Yeah. And the outer disk moves to the time zone, and then the actual hands, they jump to that time. So the hands actually move to that time.
By pushing the crown, or
by pushing a button on the left side.
Okay, right. Yes, yeah.
So there's a button on this side, and when you open it, then you can push that button, and then the outer ring will go to the next time zone. So there are 37 time zones. So not every time zone is 1 hour. It's not 24.
Yeah.
But there are actually 37 time zones. So some time zones are 15 minutes or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
If you push the button, then the outer ring will shift to the next time zone indicator, and then the hands will actually fly to that position to the time it's there. So, because the same goes for the perpetual calendar. There's only a big date, month, and day of the week. You know the year, so you don't need. I can put it in, but you don't need to know what year it is.
Yes.
And the day-night indicator is hidden inside the logo. It's blue or white, a small dot inside the logo. And then for the leap year, there's near the crown, there's a small hole, and it's white, gray, black. And for leap years, it's blue. So you can always see which year you are in.
Cycle of the leap year cycle. Yeah.
Yes, because you have to know when setting the date. Is it now the first or second year, or is it leap year? So but it's all on the dial, but it's hidden, and it's clean and easy to read. And the 37 time zone complication, I looked around and I thought, well, it's all the dials are full of text, and they turn around, and then you have to think, okay, I'm here now, and then there, and then I take this one and then go back, and then I thought it has to be simple, just two hands and the disc with the names, and you just switch to the next time zone, and the hands will move 1 hour or 30 minutes or whatever the time zone is, and go to the next time zone.
There's no precedent for this, is there?
And you're figuring all this out in CAD first? Is that the way you work?
Well,
or are you drawing with pen to paper?
Pen and paper.
I know you're not sleeping. This much we all know at this point.
I got what?
I said at this point we all know you don't get any sleep.
No.
So are you drawing in bed? Or
thinking all the time. Oh, let's see. Oh, maybe I've got something here. Let's see.
You are right, Captain Forrest.
You are right, Captain Forrest. Yes, absolutely. This is not normal. This is beyond not normal. I'm not normal. All my friends are not normal. But Michael is.
This is for
cuckoo cocoa
part of the complication starts like drawings like this.
Let's see. Right. Zooming again.
All different kind of complications, basics, just to get an idea how it has to work.
Yeah.
And then from here I draw it in CAD, and then So all.
Okay. So he does pen to paper. That's how he gets his idea out quick while it's hot, and then in CAD to see design each mechanism and see how it works as sub mechanisms, and then place them all together.
Yeah, and then because for this one, this watch with 37 time zones and a perpetual calendar, including the big date, and the watch may only be 12.5 millimeters in thickness, and a flip open case. Everything in total.
Wow.
And it has to be made by hand.
So 2 questions. I'll do a double dose here. 1, how are you making the main plate? 2, how are you making your cases?
That's a good question because, the main plate will be CNC here. And the cases, I'm still working on that because the client actually wants 2, maybe 3. So one has to be in stainless steel, and one has to be in gold. And stainless steel, that might be something I can do, but I'm still looking for a way to do it in rose gold, because I don't want to buy a block like this.
Yeah,
a piece rose gold and start milling from there.
Yeah.
So my question was in the past, your first two watches, are you making the cases yourself there in your workshop?
Printed or not printed, molded. So it's they 3D printed, and then you take the 3D print and they make a mold out of it.
Yeah.
And they heat it up, and then it will melt, and the gold goes in where the plastic was.
And you're doing that all in your workshop, including the gold?
No.
So you're designing the case, of course, yourself in CAD, I would assume, right?
Yes.
And then you're going to a 3D print place who prints the mold. And
no,
then
I have it here, the printer.
Okay.
And then a jeweler you can make it in gold.
Okay, so you're making a 3D printed case to test to make sure that everything is okay in hand, and then you're bringing it to a jeweler, a specialist who's pouring the mold, and then you're doing all the finishing on the gold.
Yes, yeah.
You're getting a raw kind of.
Yeah, and you start with a file and sandpaper, rough sandpaper, because a lot of work has to be done, and then it 2-3 weeks of filing, sandpaper, and then finally polishing and making some tools for the interior angles that are in there. So it's quite a time-consuming watch case, especially the lugs.
See, it's a process that if I didn't say anything, you'd be like, no one would know, right? That he's spending 2-3 weeks, if not more, of his life
lots of wax
just on the case. It's very hard for us. A lot of people, me, I don't mind polishing cases and bringing them to life, like from the raw kind of thing. But I'm not one that's into that. It's not my gig. It doesn't excite me. I'm a mechanic. I like just fixing stuff like that. So I always want to know, what's the process of how you getting that case done? Because a lot of times it's always like an afterthought to people who are looking into purchasing our timepieces is, whatever, someone makes his cases or whatever. But if that person is doing from even if he's not making the case, I want them to understand, Michael, that when we get a raw case from someone, it's not like, oh, dude, cool, let me pop the movement in and put the sapphire glass in. That's not it. So
no,
it's like the parts I try to explain to people. They're so raw. It's weeks of work for one case to get, even if you just have someone pour the mold, they don't want to do that. We couldn't afford to pay them. Well, maybe if Michael's watches keep going up in price, you can afford that, right? And they will, I'm sure, shortly. But that cost is a lot of money. Imagine spending, someone, they'll never do it the way we want it anyway, because we're so meticulous. They're not going to spend 2-3 weeks of their life. They're going to get it done in a day or so, if anything, and charge you like it took them 2-3 weeks. So better we get the raw stock and finish it our own way. So factor that in when you're purchasing from someone like Michael, myself, or any other independent that's out there. It's a lengthy process.
That's what we got.
You got to put way more of these pictures on Instagram, bro. This is just killer stuff, man. Absolutely killer.
If your customer will allow you, would you come back and show us the finished article?
Why not? Yeah.
Because there's no precedent for these, and what?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was the gold case, which took some time and money, and then you put it in the lathe on a homemade chuck, and you go and mill it to size and hope it sticks. Otherwise, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. Listen here, Tom, is there a question you'd like to ask about this time every week?
Yeah. Let's talk about music, bro. Like what kind of music have you blasted when you were younger? do you listen to music in the workshop? And your apprentice, of course, you know, is he part of the musical experience? So we like to get a little background of how you
Well, I used to play guitar when I was younger, and I just put on some strings on my guitar this week, so I will start playing again. I just fiddle a bit, but I listened to Guns N' Roses in the past, and Metallica, AC/DC a bit, Motorhead, that kind of stuff. Actually, I still do. I also love Britpop kind of stuff now. Also Bowie and Golden Oldies, Eagles and Deep Purple.
Excellent. So we got some metal in there, some good classic rock.
Yep.
Yeah, coming right through this.
See, Johnny, we got another guy here, right? He's blasting some metal, man. Isn't it weird how AC/DC crosses all borders? The guy could be like, yeah, you know, I listen to Beethoven, Bach, AC/DC. It's like, what? Wait, back up. Yeah. It's somehow AC/DC, it kind of filters in. It's like this, it's, you know, what used to be the world's most satanic band, well, except for Iron Maiden, people used to say, right?
Yep.
It is all of a sudden it somehow works its way in everywhere.
Yeah, strange.
Right.
Yeah. Killer, man.
Thanks.
I don't know how this journey got where you are so fast. It might seem slow to you. You're in it. You're living in it. So sometimes it takes people that are completely outside the box to just tell you how insane you are. And that's definitely one of these times. There's two people here telling you you're definitely insane, bro. Because your insanity is on a level that is beautiful. It's creating masterpieces for the rest of the world. I don't know how you're doing it without a traditional background. It's beautiful to watch, man. It's art. You're executing it in a perfect way. You're representing your country, which is, to me, the most important part, because that's what I'm trying to do here. Same thing as you're doing there. You're inventive. You create your own escapement. You're making your own escapement, making your own escape wheels. You're making everything. And down to the last question I asked you, you're on the lathe with the case. So if anyone ever wonders what's going on in your workshop, there's no more wonder to be. They're masterpieces. And
absolutely, it's been
there's got to be, right, John? There's got to be more articles on Michael and what he's doing. I really think a lot of the pictures that you showed Johnny tonight and he showed us, I think Michael needs to put more of that on Instagram if the customer will allow him. That's our platform for independence. He needs to be a way, way bigger shining spotlight on it.
Without a doubt. And that's why it has been such a real pleasure to have you join us tonight, Machiel. And I really do hope, I'm not bullshitting, the door is open anytime. When you have something new to show us, man, let us know. And because, again, look, what are we about here, Dan? It's about shining a light into the lesser scene, the darker recesses of the independent watch scene. Not everybody has a huge budget to go on crazy digital marketing campaigns with glossy videos and things like that there. But look, I've been sitting here gobsmacked is an expression we use here in Ireland.
You know why, Johnny? Because I think Michael's been so busy, he hasn't been able to show all of us what we all need to see. And we saw a lot of it tonight. I mean, we're all, Michael, seriously, we're all just like, why didn't we know about everything you're doing this in depth? And the Japanese, they've got it down, they do post a lot, like Hajime Asako or the other people. They post at least pictures, and we get a good insight of how deep it is. And man, you're there. So please, on the benefit for all of us, post more of you working and what you're doing, because I think that's your magazine. That's where people will really you'll be backed up for 10 years. Right. Just be prepared, because the orders are going to be like, woo, flooding in. You know, and I hope you priced it right. If not, like I keep telling most people on here, I try to double it, triple it, because there's no other one like you out there, and if someone wants something from your country, tag you're it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, hopefully this will raise a little bit more awareness, that more people will suddenly become familiar with Machiel Hulsman of HulsmanTimepieces.com, and there's a link to Machiel's website on our YouTube feed. So if you go to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/inthemetal, you will find this and a link to Machiel's website. Check it out. Folks, at this point, I think it's time to say goodnight. I want to just thank everybody who has watched us and who has commented and who has supported you and been amazed tonight. This has been a revelation, because there's no precedent for what we have seen here tonight. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, from my point of view. So don't go away either, Machiel, when we finish. We'll say goodbye in a moment. When we're writing out the check, won't we?
Nice. Thanks so much, guys. It was a pleasure and a real big honor again to be on your show. It was really great. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, man. It's to see inside your world is we thank you for letting us in. I know it's a private world, but in independent watchmaking, that's the world that we all want to see. We want to see what made you do this, how you got where you are, what you're working on now, what you're working on next. And it's pretty mind-blowing what we've witnessed today. Out of left field. I mean, we all know, what you're doing, but to the extent of what you've done and what you are doing currently, it's pretty mind-blowing, man. And my hat's off to you, man. We all know it's not easy, all of us, but you're making masterpieces, man. And
thank you very much.
Just keep
everyone, thanks so much for watching us again. We're unbelievably, we're 22 episodes in. We're nearly halfway, 6 months into this, and it's been amazing. And each week, whether the names are familiar to you or whether they're new to you, the talent and the creativity, the innovation and the invention of these people, there's nothing else really like it. And this Machiel is another guy who, in 200 years' time, people will be going, "That's a Machiel Hulsman! Wow!" So everyone, thanks a million for joining us again. We will catch you again next week, and look forward to introducing another amazing watchmaker next week. By goodness, he is a biggie as well. So thanks so much, everyone. We will catch you again next week on In the Metal.